All right, everybody, it is 6:35. We do have a quorum. We have 4 out of our 5 boards represented. So it is my great honor as the superintendent of Wyndham Central Supervisory Union to call this meeting to order. We are beginning with the reorganization of the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union Board. The first thing that we'll be doing is we'll be electing a chairperson. After that chairperson is elected, I will then pass off the meeting to that chairperson who is elected. As a reminder, any nomination can come from any board member, and it does not need a second. So at this time, I will open up the floor for nominations for chairperson of the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union Board. Daniel MacArthur, you have your hand up. You may speak first.
I would like to nominate Rich Werner for chairperson.
Okay. Rich Werner has been nominated.
Thank you, Dan.
Second. Oh, never mind. No second needed.
It's okay. All right. I'll pause for dramatic effect. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Rich Werner being elected chairperson of the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union Board, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Ken, did I hear an aye? Okay. That is unanimous. That is a 7-0 with the Mr. Werner abstaining. And I can now pass the meeting off to you, sir.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your vote of confidence. Vice Chairperson is currently Emily Long. Last I talked to her, she was still interested. She wasn't sure she's going to make the meeting tonight because they're trying to shut things down under the Golden Dome for us. So I would accept nominations for the Vice Chairperson of Wyndham Central. Go ahead,
Nominate
Dan.
Emily Long.
Oh, I think Dan, I recognize you before you spoke, Allison.
You're muted, Dan.
Emily Long. Thanks, Allison.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Emily Long as Vice Chairperson, please signify so by saying aye.
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 I believe the ayes have it unanimously. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Emily. I hope it's a congratulations. Our clerk for the last couple of years has been Al Clausen from the West River Board. So I'll entertain a motion for a clerk.
Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
I nominate Al Clausen for clerk.
Okay, I have a nomination for Al Clausen. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of Al Clausen as clerk, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Run, Al, Aye. run.
That was definitely a unanimous vote. So congratulations, Al. Thank you. Authorized signatures. What we do is we usually appoint a couple board members to sign pay warrants if it's in between meetings. So if Lori needs to have something signed or pay warrants signed. So in the past, it's been usually myself and Al, I think.
Yeah.
Because Al was working up in Townsend. So I would accept, what I would like to suggest is that possibly we make the 3 officers signatories so that any one of the 3 of us can sign. If somebody could make that motion, please.
I'll move that the 3 officers be signatories.
Okay, that will require a second, please.
I'll second that. This is Dan.
Okay, so Mark moved, Dan seconded. Peter, are you good with that?
I have no objection, sir.
No, I meant, did you get it?
He's got a thumb.
He's got thumbs up. Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Cool. I got you, Ken. Allison, I got you. So it's a unanimous vote. The ayes have it. Next item is paper of record. So we need a paper of record for when we move forward to do legal notices. So we have been using the Brattleboro Reformer as our paper of record. So I would need a motion and a second if you'd like to continue that.
So moved, Ken McFadden.
Thank you, Ken. Second?
I'll second it, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. So Ken moved and Mark seconded that the Brattleboro Reformer be our official paper of record. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears as though it's a unanimous decision. I'm sorry, Dwight, I thought I got you earlier. It is a unanimous decision, so the paper of record is now the Brattleboro Reformer again. So the next item is we set our meeting dates and times. So in your packet that you got, there should have been WCSU Board of Directors and Executive Committee meetings for 22-23. If we could get a motion to approve that as our standard meetings, and then if we need to have any other special meetings in between, we'll let people know, or we will call for a meeting and warn it appropriately.
So moved, Ken McFadden.
Thank you, Ken. Mark, can you second that?
I will. I would like a copy of that, though. I didn't get it.
Oh, okay. Well, then you should, if you don't want to second it, that's fine. I was just making Peter's life easier.
No, you can, I'll second it. I have no problem.
Okay.
I wouldn't object to it. I would just like to know what they are, so I can put them in my calendar.
I'll send it to everybody.
Okay, when the meeting's over and it's official, we'll make sure it goes out to everybody. Peter, can you just make a note of that for us, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Great. Okay, it appears to be a unanimous vote. The next item is to appoint a treasurer, somebody to count all the dollar bills. And we've had a really great treasurer in Lori Garland. So I would need a motion and a second on this one because it's on an officer.
I
to
move
appoint.
Lori continue.
Thank you. Dwight.
Dan
Dan?
second.
Okay, motion by Ken, second by Dan to appoint Lori Garland as our treasurer. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye, and thank you.
Thank you, Lori. It appears to be another unanimous decision. Selena, I didn't know, did you vote? I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Selena, can you give me a thumbs up?
Oh, yes, I said aye.
Okay, I'm sorry. So it is a
Okay.
unanimous decision. Congratulations, Lori.
Again.
Again, appoint an assistant treasurer. Oh my gosh, don't tell me, Terry Fletcher.
Very good.
Thank you. And he just told me that earlier today. So our assistant treasurer is Lori's assistant in the business office.
Terry
Fletcher.
Fletcher, so moved. Ken McFadden.
Second,
Second.
thank you. We'll get the second to Allison and Stratton and the motion to Ken. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, that appears to be a unanimous decision. It is unanimous. So we now have to set the surety bonds. This kind of blows my mind. $1,000 for board members, but $5,000 for the treasurers, which seems kind of low. But that's a
It all
statutory.
seems kind
right?
of low, but yeah.
Okay, so this is statutorily required.
26 million.
And then 100,000 for the business manager and employee dishonesty. Okay, the treasurer is an elected position versus
True. Yes.
Okay. So, and 100,000 for the business manager, which makes a little more sense, knowing that, what is it, about $40 million in budgets you take care of?
Yeah, more 30.
30.
Not 40.
Still a lot of money. So can I have a motion to approve the surety bonds in the amounts?
So moved. Ken
Thank-
McFadden.
Thank you, Ken.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. So motion by Ken, second by Mark to approve the surety bonds, $1,000 for the board members, 5,000 for treasurers, and 100,000 for business manager and employee dishonesty. If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is unanimous, so we have surety bonds. Grant superintendent authority to accept grants. I am so glad we do this every year, because think of the last couple of years, all the grant money that's come in, the bills accepted on our behalf. And Lori has, do you have somebody in the waiting room?
Scotty.
Oh,
Oh,
Nope.
sorry. Good.
who is it?
Drew.
Oh. We'll give him a second to connect. We're gonna give Drew 1 second to connect, so. Drew, we're on the grant to superintendent authority to accept grants. It's 2J. So if somebody could make that motion and second it, please.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank
Ken
you, Ken. So we have a motion and a second to grant the superintendent authority to accept grants. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Got Drew, I think I got, believe it's a unanimous decision in the affirmative.
That's current.
It appears to be. The next item is the policy committee. So we have a Wyndham Central Policy Committee for central office policies. And it currently consists of Mike from West River, Mark from River Valley, Beth from Wyndham, Allison from Stratton, Selena from Marlboro, and myself as the chair of the supervisory union. So if I could get a motion to, and Peter will send you these if you need them, a motion to approve the policy committee.
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. A second.
Second, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. So there's a motion and a second for Mike, Mark, Beth, Allison, Selena, and Richard to serve on the policy committee for WCSU. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, policy committee's done. That concludes our reorganization. I'd like to thank everybody for being here to help us reorganize. And I wish I could tell you that was the end of the meeting, but we got a couple more things to do. So the next item is to review and revise the agendas may be advisable. Thank you there, Dan, for the clapping. I have two things I'd like to do if everybody's okay. We have a request from our business manager or treasurer to talk about the WCSU 21st Century After School Sustainability Program. I think that would fit really well under financials at the end of the financials. And I would also like to see if we could move the under number 6 under WCSU Jedi. We have Scotty from Newfane and Wayne from Marlboro coming to talk to us. They're the Jedi leaders. They do Jedi mind tricks. And I want to move them up to right after Lori's done, before waiting study update, so that we don't keep them out all night. They have to be in school tomorrow morning and they need their school night sleep. Does anybody have a problem with those two movements? Seeing none, is there any other changes anybody'd like to see made, or any other additions to the agenda? Okay, we're going to move right along then. Minutes of the January 26, 2022 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? They should have been sent out in your packet.
So moved.
Thank you, Ken. Do I have a second?
Second.
The second was from Al. Ken, Peter, are you caught up with us okay?
Yes, sir, except I can't find my buttons.
Okay, is there any discussion on the minutes of the January 26th meeting? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Oh, Drew, I'm sorry, did you have a question? You lit up.
No question.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is, so the minutes are accepted as presented. Old
Did we have a
business.
second?
Yes, we did. It was Al Clausen second and Mark moved, not Mark, Ken McFadden moved.
Yeah, got that. Thanks.
Okay. So old business. Lori, I hate to say your old business. Refreshing business for Lori, fee for service budget. So several years ago, when budget started getting hard with Act 60, we actually started not approving the fee for service budget. We had a discussion among several boards, and it was felt that it would be better if we left that till after town meeting. So in case at town meeting, a budget got turned down and you had to go back and adjust, it left you open for that. But what it does do is it creates a little bit of an issue for Lori and Bill to get contracts out to people. So tonight we do need to approve that so she can get her contracts out. Nothing has changed in it from town meeting.
Right, so all of the numbers that are in the fee for service budget are actually all in your approved budgets now anyway. So because, you're approving budgets later and later, the fee for service it's a little bit sort of backwards at this point. So these numbers are what are in your approved budgets. But it still does need to be approved because this was not approved as part of the superintendent's budget or the special ed or MTSS budget.
So Lori, the number that we want to, if somebody would like to make a motion to approve, would be $1,536,430.
536,430, you're right.
Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the the fee for service budget of $1,536,430?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Dan.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mark and a second by Dan to approve $1,536,430 for the fee for service. I like the agency fee. It rolls so much nicer.
It's because you were used to it.
I know. Is there any discussion? I think Lori gave us a brief explanation. Go ahead, Dan. Dan, go ahead.
You're muted.
You're muted, Dan.
Okay, sorry. Down near the bottom, next to food services operations, off to the right-hand side, there's a little series of numbers. And the last column, FY23, starts with 10,527. I can't figure out, Lori, what is happening with that last column. That doesn't seem to be the sum of those numbers. Maybe you can just help me clarify that.
Sure, it's basically the allocation of the program. So the food service operations program at Wyndham Central, which is basically the compliance for all of your food service programs, is a total of 51,407. So the way I allocate it is by the revenues that come in or anticipated to come in from the federal program. So for example, in Marlboro, the revenues are projected to be $55,000. So that's how I allocate the cost of the compliance program. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yep. Thank you.
No problem.
So 269 comes in and 51 is allocated.
So 51,000 is what the compliance cost is as a comparison to the revenue.
Yep. Which is the bigger number.
The
That's next to
269
it,
is the
okay.
revenue, right?
Really? Yep. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All set, Dan?
Yep, thanks.
Are there any other questions from anybody? It's a pretty big number, but it is reviewed by the administrators and Bill, and then Lori puts it together for us.
And then each individual budget.
Yeah. Okay, if you're ready to vote. So the vote is to approve fee for service budget of $1,536,430. If you say aye, that's what you're approving. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 The only one I didn't see was Drew. Drew, I didn't see you.
Aye.
You're good?
He's good.
Okay, it is a unanimous vote, or appears to be a unanimous vote. It is. So you guys all just spent $1 million in less than 5 minutes. Financials. So we have some items under financial. Major grants budget.
Right. So it's very colorful. This is the grants budget here. And basically it is the budget as I know it today or when I put it together. So as you know, grants change from year to year. They change from even mid-year. As for an example, since this budget was put together, we just found out that our Title I or our title funds, which are made up of Title I, Title II, and Title IV, actually saw an increase overall of $174,000. So that's really great news. It's not reflected in this budget because we don't know it at the time of creating this budget. So these are all of our major grants. We have some smaller grants. An example would be like a Blue Cross Blue Shield grant that I think Newbrook, Townsend, and Jamaica just got for $250 to $750. I didn't include all of those on here, but these are our major federal and state grants. So there's not, typically you don't approve these because they do change throughout the year.
And we gave permission to the superintendent to
accept
accept the
them.
grants.
Right.
So it would just be the expenditures that we approve. We don't approve income usually.
Yeah, you
did.
did already through other ways. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to also mention in here, if you look from fiscal year 21 actual to fiscal year 23 proposed, our grant budget has increased 300%. So just year over year, it's 102%. So a lot of grant funds flowing through your districts and the central office.
So before we go to any questions, Mike Foley joined us. Mike, I want to congratulate you on your new position in Wyndham Central.
Uh-oh, what is it?
You're on the policy committee again. Thank you for your service, sir.
No problem.
And we're under old business. We're talking about the major grants budget that Lori sent out, with the packet.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any questions on the major grants budget from anybody? Okay, so no actions required. So why don't we move on, Lori, to the chart on where ESSER funds are being spent?
Right, so I thought it would be a good time to update you on the different ESSERs that we have received through the district and what basically all the districts are spending the money on. So the chart is in the aggregate of all of the funds and the allowable uses. So you can see the different allowable uses. 49 or 50% is being used to address learning loss. So kudos really to the administrators and everyone making decisions about this money, because that's huge. And I don't know how it compares to how the state is spending or how other districts are spending ESSER money. I'm hoping to get that information at some point. Does anybody have any questions about the ESSER funds?
I believe, and you guys discuss that with the individual boards when it goes through them too, correct? So there's also a chance to discuss it at your individual board meetings if you want to know specifically where your funds in your building are going. Go ahead, Mark.
I know I probably asked this of you too many times, but could you recolor code this so that us colorblind people can tell what's what? 'Cause
I will. I apologize. You've
It's okay,
asked me
I'm
that
just-
before.
Yeah, the rims.
I can't tell the difference between the 8.6 and the 49.9 or any of the light color. They all look white to me.
Okay.
I will tell you, Mark, the 49.9 is for addressing learning loss.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so Peter, can you just make a note of that in the minutes that we need to make sure that we at least maybe add the numbers next to the lines. I don't know if we can do that where you do the explanation.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Is there anything
Noted.
else from Mark? Are you all good, sir?
I am. Thank you, Lori.
Mhm.
Is there anybody else? Seeing nobody else, that was informational only, so we don't need any votes on that. The last thing, Lori's going to tell us how well we're doing year to date, and that's this big packet. Right?
Right, I have here three of our different funds that we track pretty consistently, and the general fund is running ahead. That's also known as the superintendent's fund. It's up, projected to be somewhere a savings of around $83,000. So that's looking good. The next one is the special ed fund. And that actually looks terrible if you really look at the numbers. It's basically underwater by $1.2 million. However, this was before we received the third payment. So now we're actually running approximately $450,000 ahead. We have to remember, though, that the special ed budget this year is still formula based. So that formula will basically adjust that at the end. And the goal is to actually come out to zero or with a little surplus left. But next year, which is only in July, when Act 173 starts, throughout the year, we'll actually have a better gauge of where we're standing with special ed or the MTSS budget. And then the fee for service is also running ahead a little bit, due to some unspent professional development funds. And that's really the bulk of it is in that, and some other savings a little bit here and there. You'll notice at the bottom of each one, there's a line item, which you're going to see, it'll be in the audit, but it's a fund transfer. And what that is last, well, it wasn't the last meeting, it was in November. I have it written down here. November 3rd meeting, I had recommended moving some of the fund balances so that we could capture, knowing that we were headed into Act 173 and that there was going to be an automatic loss of revenue. And the board approved these movements. So that's what you see at the bottom is I'm basically moving fund balance between the different funds. So there's another page that's called Revenues, Expenses, and Change in Fund Balance Projected. And that just has those three major funds and where we're looking at for the end of the year. This will change. It's not, set in stone at this point. But overall, with those three funds, it's projected to be about a $1.2 million fund balance overall for Wyndham Central, and almost 900,000 in the MTSS fund, which will really serve you guys made really good decisions, because that will really serve us well as we move into Act 173.
Is that it, Lauren?
That is it.
Oh, no.
Oh,
21C.
Oh, yes.
Well, no,
I'll
let's finish up on
finish
this,
this. Okay,
and then we'll go to the 21C.
sure.
So does anybody have any questions on the year-to-date financials? Ken? Yeah, okay. If nobody has a question, Laura, I just got one quick one.
Sure.
So when we have a fund balance in the fee for service,
Mhm.
does that go back to the districts or do you just,
So it depends on where it is, the fund balance is coming from, basically. So the professional development does not go back to the districts. That is kept at Wyndham Central. But if there is savings in another area, then yes. But I wait till the end of the year and reconcile and see. So yes and no.
okay.
is the
So like
answer.
when we had COVID and we weren't using some of the services for training, for staff training, you just leave that in there and then we don't need as much the following year? Or do you spend it? Do you put it in addition to?
Well, the professional development money is part of the West River Wyndham Central master agreement. So
A chunk of money.
they put a chunk of money in there, and as the agreement reads, that money, if it's not spent, just goes into fund balance.
Okay.
So that's where that is there. Now, on that November 3rd meeting, you also voted to create a fund for administratively directed PD using some of that money that was left over. So, and I believe it was $20,000. So that's how we're using it to pour back into the staff.
And that's above and beyond the negotiated amount.
Mhm.
But
right.
that's not individual. The who's ever supervisor, administrator has to direct them to do
Has to
that.
direct.
Okay.
Yes, it's administratively
Exactly.
directed.
Not a choice by the individual.
Are there any questions from anybody? Wayne, welcome to our meeting. We have one more thing to do with Lori, and then we bumped you and Scotty up. So you didn't have to stay with us all night because we know it's a school night. We know you like to get to bed early. So the last thing is Lori sent an email requesting that we add a discussion about the WCSU 21st Century After School Sustainability Program to the agenda. So Lori, I will let you explain that. And this is going to require an action by the board.
Yes.
So
can take an
this
action.
will require a vote after Lori gets done explaining it to us.
Right. So as you all know, Wyndham Central applied for a grant for 21st Century After School back in 2014. And it was all the districts at that point, all the schools, except for Wyndham. And through the years, it has basically either districts or schools, because it is actually school-based, did not qualify because of their free and reduced, or chose to do their own program. So it got down to this year, we applied for the grant. It was time to reapply. Every 5 years, you have to reapply. And it's a very competitive grant. This year, we reapplied, and it was only for West River was the application. Marlboro has decided to do their own program, which they are actually started this year and will continue next year. And the other district or school that was still in was Wardsboro, and they didn't qualify because of their free and reduced lunch. So they funded it locally as well for fiscal year 23. So unfortunately, the grant was denied. And so now, it's obviously a very important program for West River. Part of the grant process was to create a sustainability plan, which we did and very faithfully kept to. So we have currently 2 funds that make up about $214,000 of reserves that were for the sustainability plan. I project somewhere around 180 belongs to West River, and the other 34 is basically from Wardsboro's contributions and Marlboro's contributions. So West River really needs to continue with the very least with their summer program of $45,000, which would use about $45,000 of that 180. And then we would use the balance to probably plan for some after-school programming. We're not exactly sure what that will look like at this point, but there are those funds there. We're also looking for other funds. We've had some inquiries into some private grants that sound a little bit promising. And there's also a House bill for some more ESSER money that really, I think we would or West River would qualify for. So that all being said, there's basically two decisions. There is, to allow West River to access the money that the 180,000 so that they can continue their programming. And then whether or not to distribute back to Marlboro and Wardsboro, River Valleys, the $34,000, or to keep it in case they come back into 21C, which is possible, right? And next time we write the grant again, you could decide, Marlboro could decide, Wardsboro could decide to come back in if the numbers all worked. So those are the two decisions.
Are you looking for 45,000 for West River or for 180?
180.
So they're going to take all their money and they'll be done.
Otherwise, they can't run the program.
Right,
Okay, well, no, there's a 45 here too.
right. That's to run
That's
the
for
summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first item, I believe we should probably, just to break it down easier, if it's okay with you all, is to make a motion to allow the West River District to access 180,000 from the sustainability funds, which is the money that they more or less put in there.
So moved.
This is Dan. Go ahead,
Okay,
Mike.
Dan moved, and I'm going to let Mike have the second.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second to take 180,000, I'm sorry, I'm stuck on 45, 180,000 from the after-school sustainability program for West River District. Is there any discussion on that? Does anybody have any questions for Lori or Al? Al is gone.
Would you like me to read the motion?
Pardon?
Would you like me to read the motion? That was a bit confusing.
No, I think we have the motion. I'm just asking if anybody'd like to speak
Okay.
to it from the West River Board. If everybody's good, are you ready to vote? Okay, so Peter, I will ask you now to read the motion. And Lori, make sure
Mr.
we're right.
MacArthur moved to allow the West River District to access $180,000 from the sustainability funds that they had contributed.
Just 21 Cs.
For the after-school
For
program.
the 21C after-school program, please, Peter, at
Got
the
it,
end.
for the 21C after-school program.
Dan and Mike, that's the understanding of the motion you made and seconded. Okay, thumbs up. If there's no more discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 It appears as though the ayes have it unanimously. Oh, Dwight, I'm sorry. I keep thinking you clicked on. It appears though the ayes have it unanimously. The ayes have it. So Lori, you're good on that one.
Mhm.
So now the second discussion is what to do with the rest of the money. Can I make a suggestion on that?
Mhm.
Maybe you should go to those two boards first and see what they want. And then we can pick this discussion up next time.
Sure.
Dan, are you okay with that? And you can bring that to your board?
I'm fine with that, although honestly, I was going to make a motion that money just simply be redistributed back to the places from whence it came, and we could be done with it tonight. I don't believe Marlboro would complain about that. I'm not sure about it.
Oh, okay, so Dan, I'm going to accept your motion that the West River and that the Marlboro Board be distributed their money at their percentage.
I mean, River Valleys.
River Valleys, thank you, Mark.
And
We already
I'll
gave them a lot of money.
second that.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion or the second, that the River Valleys and Marlboro be refunded their 21C sustainability money and the percentage that they contributed? Seeing no discussion.
Wait, can I ask a question of
Oh,
Lori?
go ahead, Selena.
Sorry. Can you just better explain how, like, if we did not redistribute the money, what the implications are for next year and keeping that fund there if there was eligibility again next year for schools?
So my understanding of it is if you qualify next year, you can use it. You can keep this money in reserves in your own building to use in future endeavors, but it's up to your board to decide how you use it, as long as you meet the requirements of what the money was intended for.
Right.
So
we could bring it back to our building and put it in our own reserve. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
right.
Thank you for
But
clarifying.
like you can't spend it to, give the school board a trip to Bermuda in February.
All right, fine.
Okay, but we will at River Valleys. Are you guys ready to vote, or is there any other? Okay, hearing none. Peter, please read the motion again.
My button. Mr. MacArthur moved to allow the West River District to access $180,000.
No,
from
the next
Sustainability
motion,
Fund.
Peter. The motion
Oh,
for
sorry.
River
Mr.
Valleys.
MacArthur moved to return their percentage of the funds to West River and Marlboro districts, second by Mr. Schaber.
River Valleys, Peter. River Valleys in Marlboro.
Got it, thank you.
And Mark seconded the motion.
Mhm.
And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 True. It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is a unanimous decision. I got to tell you, Lori's a little upset because she was planning on being here till 9:30 tonight. But if it's okay with everybody and there's no questions for her, we're going to boot her out of the building because she was keeping the chair warm for Scotty.
I just have one quick
Oh,
thing. Will
go
you
ahead.
just, because you are a signer, this is all the checks to
Yeah.
date, if you just sign off on those?
Okay, I will do
Thanks.
that. Okay, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Many
Lori.
thanks,
Lori.
Lori. Thank you,
Thanks,
thank
Scotty.
you, thank you.
All right, I'm going to transfer hosting over to you, Wayne.
I want to introduce it first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so while Bill's going to transfer it to Wayne to give the power to Wayne, the original Jedi mind transfer person. And I just want to say that if those of you that went to Marlboro and listened to Dan's tale about the nice barn and had a really good taco bar with us, and Scotty and Wayne, I think you both presented at that meeting about this program that you guys were starting. They asked for board members. They had gotten administrators, teachers, students involved, and it became a very interesting class. So there weren't a lot of board members. I think we've had one from Marlboro and myself. I think we're the only two. But since we've been going through a lot of this, I've been saying, how do I help as a board member? Because I don't run a school. I don't oversee a school. We make policy for our administrators to follow. And one of the things that was suggested that we have them come to this meeting so they can explain the program, what's happening, and hopefully give us some guidance on how we can help you guys, you and wherever Wayne went. Is Wayne still? Oh, there's Wayne. Without my glasses, it's hard to see you, sir.
Yeah,
So
I'm here.
And so we meet, we did a training, was how many hours?
It was in the month of October.
16.
Yeah. 16
Yes,
hours.
16 hours of training. And then we meet monthly with the group, and it varies to 20 people. I'll let them talk about it, but this is a really interesting program, and these guys are very committed. And I got to thank you guys, both you, Wayne, and you, Scotty. I think it's an excellent program, and I'm really appreciative of you doing it. So Wayne and Scotty, take it over.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. So tonight what we're going to do is just come back, review what the Jedi team is, and then really talk about some next steps that we're taking. So yes, Scotty and I have, we started this probably about this time last year. And so we've been working on it since then. I'm Wayne Kraminski, the principal at Marlboro School. And I think many of you know Scotty as well.
I'm Scotty.
Yeah, go for it, Scotty.
I'm Scotty. I'm the principal at Newbrook Elementary School and at JVS at the Jamaica Village School.
So tonight, what we want to talk about is who is the Jedi team and what are our goals? What is the Jedi team currently working on? And then again, I think the question that you just brought up, Rich, is what can you do to help support this work? So just before we start, I think it's important to look at the terms that we'll be bringing up, and hopefully looking at these terms, things will make a little bit more sense when we're talking about them. So one of the terms we're going to talk about is street level data, and that really is the qualitative and quantitative data that helps us understand the whole student, and especially marginalized individuals in our community. So street level data is that it's a really a much more encompassing look at each part of not only the community but the child's experience within that community. And then the second term that we're going to be talking quite a bit about is the margin. So students and families are considered at the margin when they differ from the community as a whole. And folks at the margins can change depending upon how that general community is made up. And then the last piece is just to remind you that Jedi does stand for justice, equity, diversity, inclusion. And as it relates to the school experience for all members of our community. So we very much focus on the students, and this committee is also focusing on the teachers, staff, family, community members, board members, our community, our whole school community, because this is where the work needs to happen, and we all need to come together as a community to be able to make a lot of these initiatives come together. So thank you again for having us on today. Next. So like Rich already said, we do have SU-wide representation. So we have somebody from each of the different schools. We have students, which is really great. We have Bill, the superintendent, Jen, the curriculum coordinator, Scotty and I as principals, Rich and Jeremy Kirk, who's a board member from Marlboro. We have specialist teachers, classroom teachers, staff. We feel like of our 21 membership, we have a fairly diverse representation of our SU. And we're not doing this work alone. We're being led by a very talented and very knowledgeable group down in Northampton, Mass. And they work at the Educational Collaborative down there. I think it's really important that we acknowledge that this is a multi-year commitment to this specific team. My true hope is that at some point it morphs into something else. But it's really important to commit to that now, so that we know that folks who join, and then folks who are counting on this work to come together and make change, that we are committed to this work for many years. And we're really looking at moving forward with looking at our street level data, identifying our students at the margins, and then coming up with the scope of work to move forward. And I think that's the really exciting work, and the work that I'm really excited about looking into. Scotty.
Awesome. Thank you, Wayne. So now it's my turn. I want to start by talking about our Jedi goals. And these are the things that we're trying to do. We are actually coming together as a group. We started by getting trained together, and now we've been reading together and discussing the readings that we've been working on. But in the long term, what we're hoping to do is to provide a fair and equitable school experience for all the students across the SU. Especially as we combined, as we merged in the West River district, we recognize that different school experiences are very different, and we really need to provide the same level of service at each building and the same opportunities and the same enrichment opportunities. And we want to, and the Jedi team is dedicated to that. We also want to skill up our staff, which means that we want to train our staff. We want to encourage them to have deep discussions with students that support an increased understanding of the issues inherent to growing up in a diverse society, and build respect and appreciation for human difference itself. These are, I mean, when you look nationwide, these are somewhat controversial goals that we have. But Wayne and I and the team, we don't feel like we're part of any controversy. We feel that this is a really an important goal for us. The third one is to work with our school board and our public to unpack our policies and to prioritize our work moving forward. And why this is so important is because we don't want to be leading the work. We want to be coming back to the boards and making sure to check in, because you guys are the ones who are giving us our marching orders. We want to make sure that our work is going to jive with the feelings and the expectations of the boards. So then we have the board's backing, because this is the kind of work that really requires that level of transparency. Finally, we want to improve our curriculum to make it more inclusive, to make sure that we're not leaving anything out, to make sure that every family and every child feels comfortable and included in every part of their school day. Wayne, if you wouldn't mind, go on the next page. So the question was, what can board members do and the public do to support the work? And so Wayne and I really thought about this. We thought hard about it. And we thought, the one thing that you could certainly do is be thoughtful about our kids and families at the margins when you're making policy decisions. So what does that mean? That means really considering how a policy might impact, let's say, a kid who lives in Jamaica rather than a kid that lives in Newfane or in Williamson. We thought about different families who live different ways. Like, so there's some families that are farmers, and there's some families that are really living kind of a suburban lifestyle within our district. And we really want to make sure that we're thinking about all the different families when we're making policy decisions. Secondly, we want to think critically. We want to educate ourselves around our own personal biases and the assumptions we make while we're making decisions. And this is something I think that those of us that are doing the work right now are already, we're already thinking things through in this way. I mean, when I'm at work during my workday, Wayne and I just had a conversation a few days ago where he was like, see, we're already changing. And it really is exciting because, I know I come with 54 years of baggage, and all of that adds up. But I need to challenge that and think about the kids at the margin, think about the families at the margin, and make sure that I'm being equitable at work. Finally, and I think this is a really important one in my mind, is to support the teachers who are working every day with the kids to create equitable experiences for their kids, working to challenge the inequities in our society and working to challenge our students to reconsider their own biases. So, what that means is well, I believe that we have somewhat of a problem right now that there could be teachers that could be afraid to address certain issues because they're not sure that they have the support that they would need. And that's something that we need to make absolutely certain of, that the boards are clear about what teachers can be teaching, what kinds of things that they can be saying about issues of equity and diversity, so then teachers will address the issues. Because we all want what's best for the kids, but we're also we're not really sure what the expectation of us, and I'm really speaking for the teachers right now, I hope. We need to know what the expectations of the teachers are in terms of, what to do when and how to do it, and, how much opinion can be involved, things like that. So it's a really tricky thing. And that's why I really look forward to getting done with our training part and starting to unpack our policy and starting to do a little bit more work with the boards of looking at our equity policy and really figuring out procedurally, what does this really mean? And what kind of training do we need to be doing with the teachers in order to make it so they can have these really challenging conversations with kids? And I don't mean just in the high school. I think it's really important that third graders get the same kind of experience of understanding that, hey, their opinions might be different from other people, but we need to be respectful and we need to challenge our own biases because they're just our past. All right, finally, as part of this real two-way communication that Wayne and I really need from the boards, we want to share with you, and I think we'll do it not now, we'll do it after the meeting or in an email, but we want to share with you a brief anonymous survey. We want to incorporate your input and questions that still remain into the work we're doing and then communicate it back to you. Wayne and I both we're very like-minded in terms of we feel the necessity to be constantly communicating our work back to you and getting your opinions and making sure that we're all completely aligned, because for this kind of work to be effective and to be, for it to be great, it's got to be something that comes from all of us and not just from a small insulated group. It's got to be from the people, you're the elected officials, and we need your input along the way. So Wayne and I are really committed to the work, but we really are going to need you to check our work and to give us opinions about it. And that's really what we're asking for. When you say, like, what can you do? That's really what you can do, is just be straight and honest with us and let us know how you feel about our work.
You're doing a great job, buddy.
Oh, thank you, man.
You too, Wayne. I just can't pat you on the back.
Thank you. We wanted to set up the survey because Bill said we had about 10 minutes. And so we'll take your questions. We'll do our best we can to generally answer them out. And again, I really appreciate the ability to do this work in this SU. And I know that it's going to make a big difference for our whole community. So thank you. So
if I could just real quick follow up with you guys. So through this whole thing, I've had several conversations with Bill. I think I talked to you, Wayne, and Scotty one time. I really feel like the odd man out because we don't deal directly with the staff. We don't deal directly with students. For something to be so bad to get to us, there's been a lot of other levels that it has to go to. Everybody as a board member knows if somebody was to come up to you and complain about a situation in a school, your first response has got to be, did you talk to the teacher or the staff member? Did you talk to the administrator? Did you talk to the superintendent before it gets to us? I feel good that it's never gotten to the board level, at least at our board. I think in my 25 years, we had one harassment that rose to enough of a level to come to the board. And I got to tell you, as a board member, if you've never been through one of those, it is probably the hardest thing we've done as a board member. So I think that a lot of this may already be working because we haven't seen a lot of issues like I see in some other schools. In one of the things, I came up with a wonderful idea, and I was going to bring it up at this meeting, and I was going to make sure that all our policies get reviewed by the policy committee to make sure they're inclusive, gender neutral, to make sure that everybody feels like they're covered under them. And then the VSBA goes and trumps me, and they said, oh, we're going to be reviewing all our policies. So one of the things I thought that would be really good is if these guys were to come here and to discuss this and let us think. But I just want to also warn the board members too, just remember our roles. Our roles are not to go into the classroom and tell teachers what to do. It's not to go tell students what to do, or even the administrators. We supervise one person as a school board, our school building administrator, and we also do that through the superintendent's office. And I just want to say, just as an example, and I found this very interesting, and not all of you get the Valley News. I know it's not the paper of record for Wyndham Central, but because of this, I really thought long and hard about my ad on for my business over Martin Luther King. And because I felt so bad about not being able to do anything, I put a different type of ad in. I didn't really advertise anything. I just thanked Martin Luther King for, the sacrifices that he made for us. And it was very interesting that I got some really good comments and I got some really surprising comments. So there is a lot of work that we can do as board members. And I would really hope that the biggest thing we need to do is to support Bill and to support the administrators that are working hard on this. So I'd like to open it up if there's any questions, or you guys can give us specifics. The only other thing I wrote down is that maybe with the policy committee, a member of the Jedi team maybe should be part of the policy committee.
Great idea.
Just when we're reviewing policies that are specific to that. I mean, some of the easier ones like attendance, they don't need to. And then the last thing is, has the Jedi team ever thought of bringing in, and I don't know if it's appropriate because some of the items that are discussed, have you guys, Wayne or Scotty, have you ever thought of bringing some parents in to this too? And would that be appropriate, or is that maybe not appropriate because we have students talking about situations that?
Well, and help me, Wayne, but I think we have a couple of people that have multi roles, including being parents.
Okay.
But we really did, we didn't advertise. I don't think we advertised in a large way for membership. Wayne, do you have an idea of what, like, as far as our work next year goes, like when we really start unpacking policy and things like that, will we broaden our membership, or do you think we'll stick with the folks that are involved?
I think at this point, it would be helpful to have the committee have a say in that. I think when it comes to this year, it was all about building trust and moving into the summer to set a vision. And I think that work, that heavy work of building that trust and vision within the schools, I felt was more important to do with staff and the community. Thinking forward, though, I think it would be really valuable to have family members join the group. We have a lot of talent out in our families, and to be able to bring them into the mix and to be able to have them part of this process, I see that invaluable. I would just say that as we move forward to this year, let's get to our next step and then bring that up to the committee to see if everyone feels comfortable about that.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from any of the board members or any comments? Go ahead, Mark.
I just want to point out, Rich, that you're on the policy committee and you are a member of the Jedi group. So there is already somebody on the policy committee.
Yeah, I was thinking of somebody smarter than me.
No comment.
Or Wayne. But thank you, Mark. Is there any other board members that like to ask a question or have a comment or any thoughts? Go ahead, Dan.
I'd just like to thank both of you, all three of you that are represented here tonight, and Jeremy as well for his part in it. There's
Bill,
so
too.
much, and Bill, there's so much in the news these days that doesn't jive with what you people are all working on, and I'm really proud that you feel like you can do that in the supervisory union in a way that is inclusive and will have effect. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dan.
Could I comment on, Dan, you hit the nail on the head though, and we really do need to be inclusive the entire way as we're working. And that's why we really feel like we really need to be communicating with the boards on the regular for that very reason. Because if we go in a direction that you guys don't appreciate, then it's not going to work. So we got to really make sure that we stay tight. And that's why I really appreciate you being part of it.
Thank you. Peter, would you do me a favor, and in the minutes, would you just make a note that in future agendas, when we put them together, Bill, we should have a little block of time, like, we have some, or maybe even your monthly reports, maybe we should give the Jedi team, part of the cabinet thing so that you guys can update people, because all the board members see that.
That's a great idea.
It'll be a little more work for somebody to type it up.
Yeah, it'll be right at the end of the meeting. At the end of every meeting, we'll type something up right now.
Wonderful idea.
Okay.
It's in bold.
Thank you, Peter. Is there anybody else? Oh, go ahead again, Mark. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was actually just going to suggest, Wayne and Scotty, if you'd be willing to come to a policy committee meeting to let us know what policies we may be able to put in place that would be helpful to you, so that you and the teachers know that that the boards are behind you.
I would love to do the work. I think though that we would really need to do some research to find out what other boards are doing, because there is no model policy around that kind of thing. I don't think, not from the VSBA. We'd have to find something. So maybe Wayne and I can talk about what kind of policy, what kind of shifts we're looking for. And then maybe we could come to your meeting then and give you some ideas and see what you guys think. Does that sound right?
That would be great. I'd like to put you in touch with the policy coordinator for the VSBA because she's got a wealth of resources out there. So she may be able to be really helpful.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and I'm happy to join in that work as well too. That it's really important work, and I would very much love to be part of that work.
Thank you, guys.
I will say that what we do in the Jedi meetings are supposed to be supposed to be very close, but I will say, and I don't think they'll mind, I've never seen two people so dedicated to this cause as Wayne and Scotty. And again, I can't thank you guys enough. You do an excellent job, and I'm really glad you were able to come tonight, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Gotta show that to Rich.
Can I say something about it?
Yeah, of course.
If you would indulge me for just a second, I haven't seen you in a while. Mr. MacArthur, I collect records, and I bought a record called Make the Wildwood Ring about 3 months ago. And it's the MacArthur family. I think it's from 1973, and it's beautiful. And I just want to say thank you. And next time we're in person, I'm going to get you to sign it for me if that's all right.
No, I can't write anymore, and I can't hear anything either, Scotty, but I appreciate your comments. Thanks. Happy to.
Family sign it.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
That's so good.
Dan, you're the one with needs the sunglasses on so you can hide your identity, buddy.
Thanks,
Hey,
Rick.
is there anything else from anybody before we let Wayne and Scotty? Scotty really want to be here to 9:30 with Lori, but I'm going to kick him out if he wants to go.
We go watch some basketball.
Okay. Do you need to get it back?
I did.
Okay. Wayne, thank you again. Scotty, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Very much appreciated. Have a good night.
Waiting steady, Mark.
Yeah. Hey, Mark,
Yes.
you want to, I tried calling today and I wasn't able to get Laura or Emily. I didn't get a chance to see what was going on up at the State House. I know that there was some discussion on the waiting study. Can you just give us like the 2-minute update? Are you aware of anything new, or is it?
Oh, yeah. No, today was a very positive day. S-287, which was a bill that came out of the Senate with the weights in it, went over to the House, House Ways and Means, butchered it, and then through all the advocacy work that we all been doing, and Laura and her colleagues have been doing, Ways and Means reversed course and went back to the weights. The bill was on the floor of the House today and was voted for a third reading, which will happen tomorrow. At which point it will go back to the Senate, and either the Senate will concur, amend it, and send it back to the House, or there'll be a committee conference, which we think is most likely to be the case. For the most part, the bill's good. It has the weights in it. It fully implements the weights in FY25. They've put in what they're calling a soft landing for districts that are currently overweight that would see their tax rates go up if they don't reduce their spending. So those districts will be, their tax rates will go up a maximum of 5% a year for 5 years. If they were going to go up that, 25% total. But we will have the full weight of the weights starting in FY25, which is great. We're not going to see them for FY24, which is unfortunate, but we will have them for FY25. So I'm really excited about that. It's been a long road, and I've only been involved with it for a year and a half. Laura and Rich and others in Dover have been involved for 20, 25 years working on this. So everybody should be proud of the work that we've put in. Excuse me. Just from the perspective of the coalition, I'll let you know, we are not going to, assuming that this passes and the governor signs it, we're not going to kind of sit on our laurels and step back. We're going to be following the work. We're going to make sure that the legislature and agency of education does what they say that they're going to do, and make sure that the weights continue to get updated and that they're updated based on empirical data. So the coalition is not going anywhere. Yeah, if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, Dan MacArthur has his hand up. I don't know if he has a comment or a question.
Yeah, it's a comment, really. I want to say that Mark, even though he's only been involved for a year and a half, has done 25 years worth of work during that time. It's easily possible that without Mark, we wouldn't be sitting where we are now. Also wanted to say that according to the news reports that I heard, I think they said there were approximately 5 no votes when it was voted with no roll call out of the House. So it means at this point, it's essentially a unanimous decision by the House to send this version over to the Senate. So nobody visualizes a lot of to it. So I think we can all be pretty hopeful.
Thank you, Dan. Mark, thank you too for your hard work. I know you spent a lot of time on that. So
Good job, buddy.
and
Thank you.
Selena clapped for you too.
Oh, thank you, Selena. And thank you to the boards that have supported us, including our own SU board. The money went to a really good cause. I'll probably be asking for a little bit more so we can keep doing work in the future, but I'll save that for a different meeting.
And I can testify, Mark only went away on one trip to Bermuda in February, not 2 like he usually does. So
If I went away on a trip, it would have been to a cold area, not too hot one. So,
okay. So that is the end of old business that we had listed. Under new business, we covered B. So what I'd like to do is start off with school district reports. Dan or Selena, do you guys want to just talk about what's happening in Marlboro Lane?
Oh, golly, Selena, what do you got to say on that?
Let's see. Not much. We've been working on our continuous capital improvement discussion that's been going on for some time, and trying to figure out where we're going to move with that. The crux of it has to do with Marlboro College campus, really. So that's probably our big thing. Other than that, we've got hiring stuff going on, which every school does. Things are going really well. Our middle school is getting ready to embark on their first field research trip in several years, thanks to continued diligence and support from families to make that happen. So that's really exciting for our middle schoolers. I think that's really the big stuff. Am I missing anything, Dan?
I was going to say, Selena and I have been the school board negotiators for the recent agreement with the staff there. And as you guys all know, we're brand new at this. We negotiated once last year, but this is our first real go around. And, I have to say, everybody addressed everybody else with such honesty and integrity that we met how many times, Selena? 2, 3, 4 times with no acrimony whatsoever. And we came to an agreement. And I just feel like, actually, Bill, I want to give you credit for that too, because I think you've set a tone in our supervisory union that is one of collaboration rather than of confrontation. So anyway, that was a big deal for Marlboro.
Cool. Thank you, Marlboro. Allison, she's still here?
Yeah.
Where'd she move
Stratton.
to? Yeah, I know, I can't find her.
Blowout.
Oh, Blowout. Go ahead, Allison.
Stratton, there's really not much to report right now. At town meeting, our same board was just revoted in, so that's pretty cool. still a 5-woman deep board, and that's great. Yeah, we don't have, there's really just not too much to report. We're always so appreciative of all the work that the WCSU does and what Bill does and what all of the other districts do, because our kids go to you. So that's just about it for us.
Thank you. Bill, you want to hit Wyndham?
Yeah, Wyndham had their budget pass, which they were very excited about, and they are looking for a new teacher. And as most of you probably know, they're a very small school with 2 teachers. So they're essentially hiring half of their staff, which is a very impactful hire. So they're being very diligent about that and looking forward to bringing on a new member there. They have a new board member. They only have 3 board members, and they've had a lot of change in the last couple of years. So they have Russ was elected last year, and Abigail Pelton was elected this year. And then Beth McDonald is kind of the longest serving member. But they are navigating hiring half their staff and looking forward to welcoming a new member to where they're headed.
And Carolyn retired.
And Carolyn Partridge retired after 24 years and 6 months serving the Wyndham School District Board.
So I'm going to cover River Valley. So we had our annual meeting last night. We celebrated another milestone. Dr. Backus, who was the Wardsboro moderator for years, and has been the only moderator River Valleys has ever known. Last night was his last meeting. It was a little tough for the first time ever that I can recall. We had a vote from the floor because we had 2 people interested in being moderator. And after a count of people standing and raising their hands, we had a tie vote. And the moderator did not want to break the tie, so it went to a ballot vote. And we have a new moderator who also serves as a teacher at Leland and Gray.
Yeah.
We had our budget passed. It was interesting. Out of a $6 million-ish budget, we got questioned on about $60,000 of it. So it wasn't too bad. All our articles passed. It was a pretty good meeting. I think one of our board members was sitting next to me and said after we voted on the moderator for almost 40 minutes, 45 minutes, Dwight, the rest of the meeting didn't take as long. So the moderator was the most controversial issue at the River Valley meeting. Al, I heard you had some fun at your meeting.
Yes, we did. I won't get into a great deal on that, but yeah, so some things that are going on at the WRED are we just reorged on Monday. So we are back in business. And yeah, so some of the things that we did talk about on Monday were Scotty, I know, has left, but he did have a discussion about the Jedi, the work of the Jedi, which is fantastic work. And we will hear from him again. I think similarly to what you talked about, Rich, we will probably have that or something similar to that on a monthly basis on our agendas. Let's see what else is going on. We have long-term planning, which has been going on for a while now, and we have kind of broken out into 2 different task force, one for elementary and one for secondary, that are gathering some information from key stakeholders and will report out to us in the not too distant future. Just looking at, what do we like? What do we not like? What do we want to change? By the way, you're not on mute. How quickly do we want? That's all right. Just have your own conversation. That's all right. How quickly do we want to change things, within the next fiscal year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And there'll be things that we will want to change immediately. I mean, there are some great things that are happening right now in terms of our grounds. I think Lori's gone as well, but thank you, Lori, for alerting to us to how much money we had built up. We had set aside some money, $150,000 for the folks to kind of get some serious work done before the end of the year, and actually bump that up to $175,000. And that would include things like completely redoing the tennis courts and the basketball court and doing a much better job of taking care of the grounds at Leland and Gray. So yeah, just a lot of exciting stuff going on right now in terms of just improving facilities and yeah. Anything I missed, guys?
No, good stuff.
I think that's good. Hopefully, I know you guys have been doing a lot of studies, long-term studies, and I know you've had a few that haven't gone anywhere. So I wish you the best of luck on this one, sir.
Thank you.
And I got to tell you, I got to see the unedited version of your party hopper there Monday night too, and you guys did a really good job with that. That's something that doesn't happen very often, Al. So you handled that very well.
Well, I would say hats off to Drew and Bob, Tebow, and Bill. Fantastic job of escorting this person out of the building.
But that's Drew's used to that. That's what he does for a living.
Yeah, I would say that it was a lesson in learning from professionals. Knowing that Drew has great experience in crisis situations, it was kind of fascinating to be in the situation and then watch somebody and try to follow their lead of how you handle situations like that. Just as a funny side note, my son was showing me the picture in the paper, and he pointed out that Drew intentionally is leaning back about 10 degrees while I am leaning forward. And I needed to learn those techniques. And I'm like, Drew probably didn't even think about it. It's just natural. That's how he does it. He's physically showing non-threatening behavior. And I have to learn from that. So it was a cool experience. And it was, I think, handled really well without any planning at all. So really kudos to all.
And ever since I've been a board chair, we've never had a situation like that in any of the other meetings I've ever chaired, Al. So you did very well. That's not something you expect. Item C. Oh, I'm sorry. Item C is collaboration with WNESU. Discussion, possible action. I think
Mike Foley.
Mike, you got approached by the chair. You were approached by the chair of the WNESU about possibly having a joint meeting with them.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So
they were just wanting to know, what this board thought about, maybe a couple times a year, just kind of collaborating, kind of just sharing what issues people, different boards are dealing with, and best practices in certain areas, that sort of thing.
So just as an aside, there was a period of time when Wyndham Central was thinking of possibly going into a joint district, a supervisory district with Wyndham Southwest, the Wilmington, Twin Valley, Whitingham district. And we actually at one time had met with other boards throughout the district at different times. So I was wondering if they didn't have anything specific, I was wondering if maybe we couldn't have, if the board didn't have an issue with it, is see if maybe we can talk to this Wyndham County superintendents. I think there's 4 of you. Mm-hmm. And maybe the Wyndham County superintendents could have a meeting with with their board chairs or a member of the executive committee from each of them, and maybe come up and see if there is something we can do. I know, Wyndham or the Vermont School Boards Association tries to do something like that when they have their district meetings and stuff. But I do know that there is a lot of cooperation going on. I know our special ed director has been working with other districts. Mm-hmm. So it may be a really good idea to see if there's other efficiencies we can gain. So if nobody has any problem with that, I would just like to make sure that you got nobody on the board has a problem if we ask our superintendent to reach out, and I'll get to you in 1 second, Mark, to reach out to the other 3 superintendents and their board chairs and see if we can maybe set up a Zoom meeting to discuss and maybe plan a couple-hour meeting once or twice a year. Mark, you had your hand up, sir?
Yeah, just because you brought up VSBA, Wyndham Northeast is the only district in Vermont that is not, I'm sorry, the only SU in Vermont that is not a member of the VSBA currently.
Interesting. I did not know that. Did you?
I did know that, but with their reorganization over the past 9 months, that might have an opportunity to change.
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to piggyback on what Mark said, VSBA seeks to have 2 members from each of its regions, and they prefer for them to be members of different SUs. And Mark and I are partially here because one of the SUs does not, and the other, and actually Brattleboro SU, Wyndham Southeast, for a long time was also not a member of VSBA. So that left kind of not a lot of space. But I think that VSBA would like to see, this kind of collaboration that you're talking about, especially if it would mean that people could recognize the value of VSBA, and maybe we get some broader representation. Mark and I are we feel sort of insular because, we represent one tiny supervisory union, and other people should have representation as well. So I support this. I like the idea of it being all of the SUs, not just 2 of them. I would definitely like it to be a 4-way thing.
Okay, so if nobody, go ahead, Mike.
I don't have anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, you lit up your square. It's like Hollywood Squares. You were going to answer the question. So if nobody has any problem with that, then we'll ask Bill to arrange a meeting, or to check on if there's interest in the other supervisory unions. And Dan, it's interesting because when you took your little break from the board, Emily and I were both the representatives to the district too. And then it was shortly after that, it was like we had 2 reps from Brattleboro. And it's funny how it moves around a little bit at different times. I hated traveling to Montpelier for a monthly meeting. It was an awful trip. So especially in the wintertime. But I think, do you guys do yours now through Zoom, or do you do live meetings?
We're going back to some live, but Zoom is always going to be an option.
Yeah, and that's what a difference, because I don't think most people recognize how far it is from Reedsboro to Montpelier. They got no concept of what it means to make that trip and then come back that night.
No, it was, if I wasn't riding with Emily, it would, if there wasn't 2 of us, I know I'd probably fallen asleep and driven off the road a couple nights. So thank you guys. And we're going to move on that. And then the last thing we do is, we had the WCSU Continuous Improvement Plan, CIP 22-24. That does require action. I believe you've sent it out before, and didn't we discuss it one other time?
Yeah, so we've sent this out to you multiple times. It's the same one that you guys approved last year. It's a 3-year plan. It's a living document, but we write them in 3-year cycles. So it's 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24. So this is the one that you approved last year that we were operating under this year. But it requires each year that the board, and you've done this at your individual boards, make a motion to approve the continuous improvement plan, because we have to submit the minutes to attach to our continuous improvement plan, which is part of our application for our federal funds. So it is the document is the same that you've seen before, but we have to do it every year, not just once every 3 years. So I am asking the board to make a motion to approve the WCSU continuous improvement plan from years 22 through 24.
So moved.
Okay, so Al moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and Selena seconded the motion. Do you guys have any discussion, any questions on it? Hearing none, Arthur, I'm sorry. Peter, are you all good with the motion in the second?
Yes, sir. I'll get this edit right out the door.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, all those please who approve, please signify so by saying aye.
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 I believe that's everybody. Is it I believe it's a unanimous decision?
Yes.
It is a unanimous decision. Just real quick too, I'm sorry. I do that specifically. When you do a Zoom meeting, they do require a roll call vote. And so what I'm doing, instead of doing a roll call vote, which would add another hour to the meeting. So if you don't think it was unanimous or somebody, because we just kind of like try to see where all the squares light up. Just when I say, I believe it's a unanimous decision, if you didn't think it was, speak up then and let me know. But it was a unanimous decision. So your CIP is approved. Is there any other new business that we missed that anybody else has? Mark, did you have something?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you were lit up. Next thing is policy. We have one policy. We've approved it we warned it and posted it. Bill put it in the appropriate locations. It's a WCSU travel policy, policy F1. I believe we need a motion to now adopt it in a second.
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. Moved. And do I have a second?
Second.
Mike Foley seconds it. Is there any discussion, folks? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, we got everybody. I believe it's a unanimous decision to approve. It is a unanimous decision. I'm gonna make you guys really, really ugly, I bet, but we have no executive session items, so we don't need to do that. There is a mistake. That's what we were talking about, Al, when we interrupted you, and I'm sorry about that. The May 18th is not the next meeting. It's May 25th. And I just want to let Bill know that I'm going to be in a lot of trouble because that's my wife's anniversary and she expects me to be with her. So, and then after that, the superintendent evaluation. Al, if you can't make the next executive committee meeting, I do need to, I want to review that as a board. We're going to kick Bill out early after that meeting. If you can, if you guys could have one of your officers maybe attend that, it would be really helpful.
Next week.
Absolutely.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, I believe it's at 9, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we can move it either. We talked about going earlier. Yeah.
Mike, I'm sorry, Rich, Mike, is that a possibility for you? Sorry, I'm just doing this live.
Where's Mike?
There he is.
Sorry. Here, I'm back.
Hey, Mike, if Al can't make an executive committee meeting next Thursday at 9 to do the superintendent evaluation, can you join us just so we have West River's input? Emily usually tends to, but again, it's towards the end of the session. And
Is that on
sometimes it
Zoom?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I can. Yep.
I'll send him in.
Okay, so Al, you and Mike just discuss it.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep. No worries.
And then June 15th will be the end of the year meeting. And unfortunately, we're supposed to go to 8:30. I have like 8:10. I don't know what to do for 20 minutes. Come on, guys. Somebody.
Ken, you're killing me, Ken.
Motion to adjourn?
Yay, Mike and Ken. So all those in favor say aye. Goodbye. Thank you, folks. And we'll
Aye.
see you.
Aye.
We'll see you all on May 25th.
Night.
Night.
Night, everyone.